Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about why a bookkeeping business is like the number one business model to start for most beginners. Now, this is basically, what I had to go through in order to like find the right business model to make money online. So, number one, I was doing a lot of different business models back in 2014. So about 10 years ago, I was like just thinking of stuff. So even if actually even sooner, from like when I was like in college, like I was in college, I was trying to do things like sell like Pokemon cards, right? So we would find like some Pokemon cards, we would sell them. The problem was we knew nothing about Pokemon cards. I didn't watch Pokemon when I was growing up, so I knew nothing about it, right? And it was just terrible. So we would buy some packs of cards, we would walk around the campus, we would try and like sell them. I don't know what we were thinking, but there was a really strong population of people like anime and like different things like that, like on the actual campus itself. So it wasn't a bad idea. It was just we didn't know enough about like the market, enough about like anything to really have a solid chance of making that work. But that was like one of the first business models that I ever tried to do. Now, once I started going to college, like I had some like more officialized businesses. So like number one was like eBay garage sale hunting. So basically, what that would mean was like I would go through, to, like literally drive around my car to different garage sales on like Friday and Saturday, and sometimes Sunday if I had the time. But I would go there and I would basically try and find items, open up like my eBay device or my eBay app, and then see if I could like go in and find some products. So I'd get like little sets or a Mickey Mouse plush doll or like just random stuff like old baseball cards, anything I could think I could turn like a little profit into. Like I would make some profits. There you're always at the mercy of the garage sales around you. And I didn't think to keep going to like different ones further and further away from me. I just was always inside like my local area during the summer. And the lesson I learned from there was it just wasn't enough to scale, right? Because like if you find like the one item that really works, it's like you've only sold it like one time. You can only find it one time, right? Because it's like vintage. They bought it like 20 years ago. So just like it's just very very hard to kind of scale. I like scaling with like one or two products or services. I don't like having to get multiple things that just kind of like spread out. And I'll tell you more about that why in a minute. But that was the number one thing from eBay garage sale hunting. The next thing I started doing was going to like eBay. Like I was trying to sell on eBay. I was going to like Salvation Army and like Goodwill. And at the time it was great because like I would get like these like little like $10 items. I'd sell them for like $40. Like my favorite thing to sell on that was like Guitar Hero guitars. So like like for the GameCube they had like guitars and stuff like that you could sell for like the video game. And like almost every single one of the Goodwill stores around me had like Guitar Hero guitars. It was really really cool actually. And like that started to scale because that was my number one product. But what I started noticing is as I started going to Salvation Army and I would see some items, they started increasing the price up and up and up. And I didn't realize and I didn't know at the time was because Salvation Army started looking at sites like eBay, Amazon, etc. And they were looking at what people were actually selling it for, and they would use that to price out their products. So the profit margins went from here to like here to like here to like negative in some cases. And like what I learned from that was you don't buy from a direct competitor, right? You just don't buy from a direct competitor. It doesn't make sense. You have to buy from like either the manufacturer or someone who's like on your team, or you have to kind of find an arbitrage moment. And those Goodwill and Salvation Army just wasn't the move anymore. Plus, a lot of them felt super dirty, which I didn't really care that much about like how dirty it felt at the time. It was just like it just as you got in there more and more, like you just leave it like dust or you'd be like itchy from like all just the stuff in the air. And I just did not like that environment. The worst one was I went to this like it was like a old like it wasn't a thrift store, it was like some mom and pop thrift store, and like I was going through like all like the vinyl records because I thought that records would be a cool thing to sell. And oh my gosh man, like my arms just had dust and crap all over it. It was so nasty, man, so nasty. Next thing I tried was Amazon FBA. So that's like when you basically you partner with the manufacturer, you partner some way to like go and find products, and you ship it to Amazon's warehouse and put it up on Amazon's website. And like as it sells, Amazon ships it out for you. So it's supposed to be very very convenient on the surface. And I had seen a lot of people were making money. Like back in the day on like YouTube, like Amazon FBA was like the hottest business model that people were like thinking about and trying. But when whenever I would try and do it, like I could get small bits of success. So I would actually go to like a Harbor Freight Tools, and I found like these things like these suction cups, like they would like you can put on your car and you pull out like a dent, and like I found like they were selling at like really cheap prices, so I would get them then I'd buy them. But like again, they didn't really have a huge capacity of those things. It was always like they would only have like 5 in the store at any given time. So like I probably now knowing what I know now, I probably could have gone to the store and like bought a bunch of them, but like I would just every time I go, I would just try and buy some and like I would sell it. I had like this like electronic fly swatter that I used to sell. Same thing, find it from Harbor Freight and then go, because I was researching that product. I thought that product would do well, but I didn't really want to invest a lot of money in like getting it overseas and bringing it over until I like knew it would work. So what I started doing was I would buy from the Harbor Freight tool. I sold like 5 or 6, and that product was a little bit slower to sell, and like it was just very hard for me to. Again, it wasn't enough to scale. Kind of went back to that garage sale hunting, right? Anytime I would have to go buy it from a store, the amount of scale was not necessarily there, and like that was just a reminder of that. So I started thinking about, okay, so let's go on like sites like Alibaba, AliExpress, and let's see if I can go and like find a product like that's safe enough that I think would work, and see if I can actually go and sell it. So what I did was I actually went in, and first thing I got were like these they were like plug-in mosquito repellent, right? And I didn't buy a huge amount. I think I bought like probably about 50 to 100 of those. About 50 to 100 of those. And like it was a really good product. It did pretty well. But it was a seasonal product, right? So it's just like, I could only do it for a certain amount of time. Then I like ran out of them because I sold them all out, right? Because I was able to negotiate like a small enough order quantity, like 30 of them, that it could make sense. Now on those ones, the revenue wasn't very high, so I would have had to sell a huge amount in order to kind of make it work. But it was cool. It was working. It was doing okay, and I was like super excited about it. Like I learned the process. And like it was a really rewarding process to kind of like learn that and see like my progress was going in action. So then what I tried to do was I tried to find a second product. And for that second product, I was doing they're like these they're called endoscopes. Do I have any in this room? I always keep a box of like every one of the products I tried at this location, right? So imagine like this is like something that plugs into your phone. And then on the other end of this, there's like a camera. So it's like for like plumbers to like look through like different pipes and different things like that, and you can kind of get an understanding of like what is on the other side of that, So it was really cool, and I loved the idea. I thought it was gonna work, and like I had seen some, and like they were shipping very well. So I went to the manufacturer and I bought it. When I spent like $1,500, and like at the time that was a lot of money for me, like depending on where you are in your life, you might hear like $1,500, like, oh, it's so much money to invest in something that you don't know if it's gonna work. But it's like one thing I know about that I've learned about business owners, like business owners are investors. In order for you to really stand a chance in this online business market, like you either have to go and invest in products or you need to invest in courses. Along the way, when I was doing these different things, I was investing in courses, and like that was the thing that like showed me how to find a supplier. It showed me how to know like what the competition level is. It showed me different software, different tools. So it like expanded my learning curve and maybe like be able to do this stuff like really fast. Because like I would never have been able to kind of learn how to get stuff to Amazon FBA like the warehouse without those courses, because like the information just wasn't really on YouTube back then. Now, next thing is like so when I invested that money and I like got it back shipped me, there was actually a defect. So you see how this cord, like it can bend like this? That's not good for a camera. You need a camera to be able to hold its shape. So like imagine if I took my hand off and actually held its shape. That's what I needed. But they messed up the order. So what I had to do is I had to like go to, like argue with them to ship it back, file a complaint with like Alibaba, and like they finally did an exchange. So I had to send it back. Then they actually gave me some good ones, like some correct ones. And that took like 60 days. So like the lesson I was learning there was, okay, you need to make sure you get like a good sample and make sure like the sample matched what they're actually going to give. Because they did give me a sample, and the sample was good, I thought. But I didn't actually know. For that product, for some reason, I didn't get a sample. I don't know why I did not get a sample. I just thought that, you just kind of do it. And if you're ever doing Amazon FBA, like make sure to get samples like of the manufacturer so that you can kind of go back and forth before you do it, because like when you order in a large quantity, like 100, or for me it was a large quantity, like 100 items, like it's gonna take like 30 to 60 days to reach you because they're shipping it from China, right? So it has like a lead time on it. A lead time is like how much from when you purchase it to when it reaches your house, right? So, or your warehouse, whatever. At the time I was doing it at my house, you know. I wasn't killing it, you know. I didn't have a warehouse for my e-commerce stuff. So that happened, right? When they shipped it back to me, I was like, okay, finally, got the right thing. It's 90 days later. I hope the demand is still there. Let's ship it off to Amazon. Amazon would not accept those items inside of their warehouse because it had a lithium-ion battery. So you had to get special approval to get put inside of a hazard warehouse. They have special warehouses. I don't know if it's the same way today, that like what it was 10 years ago, but they have specific warehouses for like items with batteries because they consider them like you know, like really a hazard. Like they could explode and different things like that. So I'm pretty sure probably nowadays they probably have like on all their warehouses like a special like hazard spot or place so they can have like both things there. I don't know exactly, but I'm just telling you what happened for me. So I was stuck with all these things, and like I still have them. I still have them in my basement right now. You know what I mean? Like I still have a box of the 100 different scopes like that. I just keep it as a reminder, right? But the lesson with Amazon was make sure you know all the rules before you invest a lot of money. I should have known that they would have this kind of restriction. How would I have known? If I had gotten the sample and tried to sell the sample on Amazon, it would have been able to go. Now I'm gonna get to there in a minute, like what the next business model was and like what the best business model is. I know I don't want to get this too long. It's just this is kind of like the journey of like what happened for me, right? Now, the next thing I did was I started doing eBay dropshipping. So I was like, Amazon's not the place to go. Let me go back to eBay. And what I started noticing was there were like you could get products from like different stores in the United States. You could list them on eBay for like a small profit margin, but there was all these like places online that were like they were called cashback portals. So you basically go click on like this Chrome extension. It would take you to the regular website, and then you could buy the item and get like a credit or like some sort of like cash back bonus. So I would see like 1%, 2%, 5%, and I just thought that was really really cool. Probably nowadays I could probably kill it even faster actually. But basically what it was like I was like kind of like daisy chaining a bunch of different cashback options. So I have like a 1% debit card from PayPal, right? So I get 1% off all purchases. Then I would have like a portal that would give me like I'd have like a portal where I could go buy like gift cards to like whatever store I was gonna buy from, but they would be like discounted gift cards. So you basically buy $500 worth of points for like $400. And the reason why people would do that is because like they just had these gift cards that they just couldn't use or didn't want to use anymore. So you get like a slight discount. So it was like 4% there, right? So now I'm at 5%. Then I'd use like the cashback platform. The cashback platforms give me an extra 5%. Okay, so now I'm sitting at 11% profit margin. So what I was doing was like, okay, cool. So I could get the stuff, let's say from like Home Depot or Walmart. I would just like maybe get like a 1 to 3% increase, so I could still make my pricing competitive. But then on the back end, I would have this like 11% kind of boosting. So 3% plus 11, that'd be 14% profit margins on items I literally could just go walk up the street, get from Home Depot, put in a box, and then ship off to the people. It was the perfect system. It was so perfect, right? And like I actually did really good with that, like revenue wise, right? So I actually scaled it up. And the challenge there was as I started to put more and more listings, because I could literally just like scrape an entire catalog from Home Depot. I would hire some VAs to go and like put it up on eBay and like the listing. They're called listings. But what I didn't know was number one, the VAs were expensive. Like it was like $1,700 a month on virtual assistants I was spending. And then at the same time, the more listings you have on eBay, the more fees they charge you per listing. It's like in tiers. So once you get past a certain number of listings, they would expect like you to pay more to eBay for different stores. Then there was also a flat rate for the type of storage you have. It was basically because like if most online e-commerce companies, if they have 1,100 SKUs or 5,000 SKUs, they're probably a larger company that has much greater needs. But I was a very small company, but it's just since I didn't have to have the inventory, I could have 1 million products up there and not really care, right? So I didn't understand that. I didn't know my numbers, right? That's a common theme you're going to start noticing with businesses as we go along, and why the accounting model is the best business model. So it's like I didn't know my margins. And on top of that, I didn't know my cash flow cycle, because remember I talked about like all those different cash back things. So even though I was getting 11%, it wasn't 11% at the moment I sold it. It was 60 days later. So I basically had to be able to float the cash flow that I got from the sale, hope there was no extra fees, and all like my flat costs were paid for. So it wasn't that each individual thing was bad. It was all of my flat costs were causing me to really struggle. So it was just all like those flat fees, right? From the store, from the listing fees, from the handling fees, etc., the store itself, and everything was just kind of like creeping up. So my cash flow was just there. So even though I'd be making, on paper, I'd be making like 15 grand a month, right? But like in actuality, I was making like zero, right? I was actually making negative $2,000 a month because I was still waiting for that cash to hit from those portals. So the lesson I learned there is you have to have a high profit margin before you scale, right? And that kind of goes back to buying from the manufacturer. And you have to know all of your numbers before you move. So what I started doing was I started making like a listing and understanding like, okay, so what business models would work, right? So eBay would suck because there's not enough scale. Salvation Army would work because I'm buying from my competitors, so the margin is trash, right? And the margin was built in at first, but it was going down because my competitors were basically squeezing me out of the market. Next, with the Amazon FBA, I learned like you have to know all the rules before you do it, and just make sure that you've tested everything and you buy samples, right? Because like that's a lot more risk. eBay dropshipping was, yes, you can make profit, but you have to know how fast does that money hit your account, and also you have to be able to have the profit in place before you start scaling and bring on unnecessary costs, right? And then another business I started was like senior citizen chair workouts. So I basically would go to like different senior citizen locations. It would pay okay, right? It would pay like anywhere between like $40 to $80 per hour, and like I would do like these 30-minute like chair workouts, just like moving our arms and just like kind of showing them how to like be more active. And the problem there was, as I tried to scale that business, I would do cold calling. So I would like call in, see if they would let me in. We would do our presentation to the activities coordinator, and then they would say yes or they would say no. But we ran out of businesses inside of our local area because I'd have to drive from one to the next. So I started trying to go to different cities around me, but it was just too far away. It's like I can't drive 45 minutes, from this, and then 45 minutes and 45 minutes back, right? And it's like they all wanted to be around the same time, right? Because they had like a schedule they wanted their seniors to be on. So they started coinciding. So the lesson from there is like geographic locations were limiting the size of the business because I couldn't drive physically. Next thing, it was like the scheduling of it was bad because I could only be in one place at one time. So it was really about the geography and just the physicalness of having a business of that nature, right? So that was added to my list. Okay, I need something that can be virtual. I need something I can do from anywhere. I need something where I can do like multiple clients at the same time, right? So it's like I could just stack as many people in there as I possibly could without necessarily having to do anything. And the conclusion I came to was bookkeeping. Now, basically what bookkeeping is imagine you have a business and you want to grow it as much as possible, but you don't know exactly how much cash you have in the bank, you don't know how much money you're actually profiting, and you don't really understand what is the discrepancy between when you sell something and when you actually receive the cash. A bookkeeper basically tracks all those numbers and can give you financial reports and financial analysis to understand like what's happening to the money. Okay, so you're only making 10% profit margin. You really need to be making 30% profit margin because as we scale, your profit margin is going to go down 10 to 15% because you're going to be spending on advertising, which you probably don't have now. Or, hey, every single month, like this extra expense is kind of coming out, and like if you have like 10 expenses of these, like $100, that's an extra $1,000 a month you're kind of losing on your business. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily a lot of money, but if you don't have to do it, you might as well just profit an extra $12,000, or you can actually go and like appropriate like where you want those monies to go, so you can further grow the business and like maybe turn that $12,000 into $120,000, right? You can get like a 10x return on your advertising. Or hey, you're getting money from a client here, but you're sending an invoice, right? And on your invoice you say like net 30, but they're actually paying you 90 days later. So we have to really work to get that collections amount of time down to 30 so we can get money faster, right? Because the faster we get the money into the business that's owed to us, the more we can scale, right? And it's just like, it's all these different like analysis that you're kind of helping the client with to make sure they fully understand their business so that they can grow faster, they can grow more. It's actually a really good business model because of the fact that there's three main reasons why it's a good business model. My favorite is that it's virtual. So the reason why that's cool is because you don't have to go to the office and you're not limited to the geography. So if I was only limited to like the number of businesses inside my city, like yes, there's a lot of businesses, but not all of them would want my services, right? So I can spread out throughout the entire United States and get really good, clients. That's also cool because then like you can visit your clients and go on vacation, right? So be like, hey, I'm like in this city. If you want, you can meet up here. Oh, you can't meet up this day at this time? Okay, no problem. I'm still in the city, so I'm having my vacation, right? The second thing that I like about it is the fact that the expenses are very, very low. So since the expenses are very low, your profit margin is high, right? So all you really have expense-wise is like your computer, which I'm assuming if you're watching this, you either have, a phone or you have a computer, right? So you have some kind of device that you can utilize for this, right? The next thing that I really like, and another reason why it's important, right, is because the other thing that you have to use for bookkeeping is like a certain software. Like a lot of the software, like they give you like accountants access, so you don't actually have to pay for it. And it just makes it okay. So if you have a computer and you have the software, then there's not really other expenses that you have to incur out of pocket because any software you might use for your client, they are actually paying for. So for us, you're utilizing more of what's inside your mind than necessarily using what's inside of your business, right? Because it's a service, not a product we're buying. Now, the next reason why I think it's the best business model too is because of the fact that it is recurring revenue. So one thing that I didn't like with the eBay and like the different like e-commerce items was that number one, every time I sold something, if someone liked it, the only way that they could like reward me for that was by leaving me like a review. But I would always have to go find more clients. I was talking to one of my friend's dads. He owned like this business. He said, "Yeah, that eBay model just kind of sounds like you're just looking for like the next best like sucker." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, because it's like think about it. Generally for a business, if you're doing well, someone's gonna buy from you like 1, 2, 3, 4, multiple times. Versus if not, if it's just like this arbitrage game and you're not really adding value, as soon as you make that first sale, they never come back." And he's like, there's a lot of people in the world, but it's just a very kind of, it's a very stressful business model because you're always having to go find it versus like for bookkeeping, what it's like is you find a client and then when they're happy with you, they say thank you, they leave a review/testimonial, and they keep paying you. The average lifespan for a bookkeeper or an accounting client is about 7 years. That means if a client starts you today, they're going to keep paying you on average 7 years. Some people might be a little bit shorter. Some people might be a little bit longer than 7 years. I've heard for some like different mentors and different things I've like paid for, like some of their clients have lasted for 25 years, paying them every single month. So it's almost like I like to think of like the payments almost like they're paying you like a monthly rent, kind of like how they would for like a real estate. So each client's like a real estate investment for me. You know what I mean? So it's very, very cool and very fun. But because of that, it provides you a lot more ability to relax, right? Because one challenge that you're going to have with a lot of service-based businesses is like the sales component. So you're always going to do like sales calls to go get like a new client, right? But when you have the bookkeeping, once you get that client, like let's say that you're trying to just make $10K per month, right? That's kind of like the standard like internet online like kind of avenue, right? They say about that's basically the standard, right? That only it's gonna let's say you're pricing your service at about $500 per month, right? You only need 20 clients to pay you $500 a month to be at that 10K per month mark. That's not a lot of business owners you need. And that's like max. Because like we have like a mentorship program. We teach our students through our mentorship program to charge between like $500 to $5,000 per month per client. And it just makes it a lot easier for you to get up to that $10,000 per month because you like the max you need is 20 clients. The minimum you need is probably about 2 to 3 clients, right? So you can be doing between 2 to 20 clients, just depending like what your pricing model is like. But they stay with you so much longer, and it's just so much easier to kind of run the business. Now, If you want to learn a bit more about like accounting and bookkeeping on this channel, like we have a lot of videos that kind of break it down. I have behind the scenes like coaching calls of like me with like other students and like just kind of educate them on like what they need to be doing inside to make sure they can grow their accounting and bookkeeping business. And I just think if it's something that you want to start an online business but you just don't know exactly which one to choose, watch more videos on the channel. And maybe you've seen some of our videos already, and like you've already been a part of this channel for a while. If you want some help growing an accounting or bookkeeping business, I invite you to go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to learn a little bit more about like our mentorship program, to see if it's a good fit for you, to see if we can help you go and reach your financial goals. Okay? You're gonna click the link, book a call, see if we can help. We'll talk about our mentorship program. We'll see if it can be a good fit for you. Then, if you want to get started, we can get going right then and there. So, if you want to go and avoid a lot of the mistakes that cause most people to fail, click the link. I'll see you on the other side. Have a good one. Take it easy.